In the second packet, you're going to see it's titled The Coming Climate. We're going to read over it and answer the questions. So that way we can see how to get all the information we need from the text and answer the questions as best we can. I'm sorry, you said your name was Nadine, right? Yeah. And? Maria. Okay. So, first off, we're going to use one of our strategies, and we're going to read the questions first to see what information we need to get. Okay? So, I provided the questions. They're towards the end of the packet. All right. So, which of the following is the main idea of the passage? Let's go ahead and read through those and see if we can kind of just instantaneously look at the main idea while reading the passage and see if it's similar to the ones that are listed there. So the first one is A, which is the history of climate change should be carefully explored and documented. Fossil fuels and greenhouse gases may be linked. C, the Earth's temperatures have been rising. And D, human activity and global warming may result in a changing climate. So, do you guys have an idea of what the passage is going to be about? Just by reading those options? No? No? Okay. Well,
it kind of sounds like it because it talks about exploration and then it talks Earth's temperature and then global warming.
Yeah, so basically we're talking about Earth. Exactly. We're talking about Earth. So, because those options, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's giving you several different options. And they all sound very different, although they're all related to Earth. So it's kind of the trickiness that they're trying to throw at you. But by reading it, we're obviously going to find out the best possible answer. And then that one, which it says, which of the following information is not supported by the information in the passage? We could only do that by reading the passage, obviously, so we have to read. So we can go ahead and skip that. We don't have to know anything. And which of the following terms best describes the effects of global warming? We can also do that while reading the passage. And then here's another one, number 4. So it says, what tone does the author establish in this passage? Do you guys know what tone is? Yeah? So, Nadine, can you give me in your own words, what does tone mean?
Like the way the writer is talking about it.
Yeah, so basically like the attitude that the author has, right? Is he being like, oh, you need to do this? Or is it being like, oh, well, passive, like, oh, okay, it's cool. You know, that's the tone. So that's what we're looking for. So just by reading that, we'll have to understand that while reading the passage, you have to keep in mind what tone the author is using while writing the essay. Does that make sense? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then let's just go to number 5. The name greenhouse gas is first mentioned in line 74. We can do that while reading the passage as well. And then the word exacerbate in the passage. We'll do that as well. So basically by skimming through all these questions, we'll have an idea of what we have to look for, right?
Yeah.
So one of them in particular, and the most, I guess the easiest one we could view is the tone, just by reading it. All right, so now we're going to start off the passage. Maria, well, I'll read the first paragraph and then I'll have Maria read the second, okay? So, to start off, remember, we're going to be looking for the main idea. So if you think there's anything important while reading, just make sure to use the highlighter or the pencil when you're taking the test. Highlight whatever you think is important, always. Don't over highlight because it defeats the purpose. It's like having to read everything over again and you don't want to do that. So when you're taking the test, make sure to circle whatever it is you think is important or underline it, so that way that's a reference point. Refer back to that one sentence that you think is really important, and it'll give you an idea of what the rest of the paragraph is going to be about. So that way you don't have to be looking through everything. Does that make sense? Okay? All right, so the first paragraph. So the passage is called The Coming Climate. All right, so human beings have in recent years discovered that they may have succeeded in achieving a momentous but rather unwanted accomplishment. Because of our numbers and our technology, it now seems likely that we have begun altering the climate of our planet. Anything important there? First off, let's just do this. There's two sentences in the introduction. Which one is the one that gives us the most information? The most important. The first? Maria, tell me why you think it's the first one. Okay, so you're telling me you think it's the first one. I understand why you think that, because it's telling us that as humans, we've achieved a momentous but rather unwanted accomplishment. But that's all it's telling us. It's not being specific, right? It's not really, it's just telling us it's some sort of accomplishment. But that's it. No other information is given. So, in all honesty, we don't really have to have that. Does that make sense? Because it's just telling us, oh, something happened. It's like saying, hey, something happened, and I just walked away. You know? You see what I'm saying? You have to look at what the important information is in the paragraph, right? So the second one, it says, because of our numbers and our technology, it now seems likely that we have begun altering the climate of our planet. Is that telling you something? Exactly. That's what we're looking for. So which of the two do you think is important in that paragraph? Let's go ahead and highlight that then. All right, Maria, read the second paragraph for me, please.
Okay, well, I'm going to say
Climatologists?
climatologists are confident that over the past century, the global
Average?
average temperatures has increased about half a degree Celsius. This warning is thought to be partly to result of human activities such as burning of fossil fuels in power plants and automobiles. Moreover, because population, national economic, and the use of technology are growing the global average temperature. It is expected to continue increasing by an additional 1.0 to 3.5 degrees C by the year 20,000.
Love. So, do you think, by reading that paragraph, what information do you think is important? So let's just go over each sentence to be like, oh, okay, so the global average temperature has increased. That's what the first paragraph tells us. Let's highlight the first sentence. Let's highlight that. So global average temperature has increased, right? So that's important.
Yeah, if you're already taking this one,
And then it's telling us this warning is thought to be at least partly the result of human activities such as the burning of fossil fuels in power plants and automobiles. So it's telling us the global average temperature has increased, and then it's telling us this is partly the reason why it has increased. So do you think that's important information? Yes. So let's just see, burning of fossil fuels in power plants and automobiles may be the cause of it, right? All right, so moreover, because populations, national economies. Yeah, go ahead. Alright, so moreover, because populations, national economies, and the use of technology are all growing, the global average temperature is expected to continue increasing by an additional 1.0 to 3.5 degrees Celsius by the year 2100.
I know.
So,
Can I go ahead?
if you can tell me one important thing, just one important thing from that paragraph, what would it be? Exactly. Because we see the word increasing everywhere in that paragraph, right? In the first sentence and in the last sentence. So basically, that's really important, right? So increasing is definitely, that's the most important part of that paragraph, right? So now let's move to the next one. Nadine, can you read the other paragraph, please?
Such warning is just one of the many consequences of climate change. Nevertheless, the ways that one might affect the climate, environment, and therefore its health are among the most important in science.
And so like, going to the state money transfer?
You didn't earn any credits with us, the only transfer sheet is from the last one we did before us.
So I have to go back to the other side?
very
That would be after your passage for that.
Considerably?
Okay.
considerably from face to face, such as severe and stress, weather changes, and regional
Climate.
and local weather, especially extreme events, temperatures, heat waves, very heavy rainfall, or drought, for example, which could very well have staggering effects on society, agriculture,
And ecosystems, yes. All right, so what is it telling us in this paragraph? Remember, one of our priorities when we're reading is to read a paragraph and figure out what the most important part of that paragraph is. That's what we want to know, right? And if you can, if there's several different sentences, summarize it yourself. Write a little note on the side. This is about blah, 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 blah. So for example, this one, we're talking about, in the beginning, it says climate change and it's increased, it's getting warmer, right? What else is there? What else is it telling us?
or might affect it.
Yeah, so it's basically telling us that climate change is going to affect different areas considerably, right? Remember it says the effects will be complex and vary considerably from place to place, right? So it's telling us that it's going to have a global impact. It's going to make changes in the world because, it's that important, right? So, apart from that, what else do you think? What else do you think is important? So we decided that it's going to affect, right? All right, so let's just choose, if we could choose one sentence in the entire paragraph, which one would it be that you think is the most important?
I'm not probably the last one.
The last one?
Yeah, why? Because it's telling us about the changes that will happen. Well, that's how I'm understanding it.
Yeah, so it's telling us the changes that will happen. And I understand why you think it's important, but we have to think more of like the more specific reason why this person is writing that paragraph. So that's giving you the results, but what is he arguing? So it says, nevertheless, the ways that warming might affect the planet's environment and therefore its life are among the most compelling issues in Earth science. Right? Do you guys know what that means?
No.
So it's saying, let's just try and make it seem like, well, let's just make sense of it. So by reading the sentence, the ways that warming might affect the planet's environment and therefore its life are among the most compelling issues in Earth science.
What does the word compelling mean?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
Okay, so there's this thing called contextualization, right? So basically, what that does is we're trying to read the sentence, and by reading that sentence, we're going to try and make sense of the definition of a given word. So in this case, we're trying to find out the definition of compelling. Let's just say I don't know the definition of compelling. So by reading that sentence, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Let's just try and see if we can make sense of it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So let's replace it with something else. So let's see. Nevertheless, the ways that warming might affect the planet's environment and therefore its life are among the most. You want me to give me an option? Does it sound like it's a problem? Does it sound like it's a solution? Does it sound like?
Sounds like a problem.
Okay.
Compelling issues. So it sounds like it's something negative.
Exactly. That's what's contextualizing. You see? You're your mind is working so that way it's making sense of the sentence. And that's what you're trying to do. Because you're never going to know every word in the English language.
Yeah.
I'll never know every word in the English language. So that's the best way you can do it. You're always going to have a dictionary handy, especially when you're taking the CAHSEE. So make sure to use that to your advantage. Contextualize. Read the sentence thoroughly. Try and make sense of it. What does your mind say about that sentence without having to use that word? Yeah? All right, so let's move on to the next paragraph. Okay, so I'll read this one. Based on studies of how the Earth's weather has changed over the past century as global temperatures edged upward, as well as on sophisticated computer models of climate, it now seems probable that warming will accompany changes in regional weather. So what do we know so far? Again, it's saying that global temperatures have increased upward. It says edged upward. And it's now telling us that computer models of climate are kind of proving this, right? That they're using different ways to see the changes, right?
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have problems. Like, I could read a whole paragraph, and then it's like, I forget whatever I just read.
Uh-huh.
So, as I think I have problems in my CAHSEE, because I could read the whole story, but then when it comes to the questions, I have to, like, jump on it again and again, and it's like, I can't get it through. So, I don't know what can I do with that.
Okay, so are you focused?
Yeah, I'm focused.
You're completely focused.
Completely focused. I don't know.
Okay, so do you write on the CAHSEE?
Yes, a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Okay, so you highlight the important words of the sentence.
No, I do not. I just
Make sure to do that.
Like, what I think is best.
Do you read?
No.
Okay, so start reading. No, I'm being serious, because the only way you can make yourself more in tune with what you're reading
Yeah.
is by practicing it, making your vocabulary a little bit, a little bit more complex, a little bit more broad, so that way
Yeah.
you know more words. The best way to improve any of your writing skills, reading skills, language skills is by reading. That's the best way to do it. So I would suggest to do that. But since we're talking about the CAHSEE and it's November, you can start reading now. Give you a book, it's cool. But I would say definitely, like I said earlier, make it relevant to your life. That's the best way. So when you read a book, for example, my favorite book growing up was Harry Potter. So I visualized it. That's the best way to do it. Because if I'm reading and I'm looking at the book and just the words, it's pointless, right? You have to imagine things.
That's
Same
what
thing.
I do.
Same. Then I think you should be doing fine.
Well, it's probably because I hesitate and I'm like, I feel like I'm never going to get it right.
Oh, then that's where you're going wrong. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. See, if you keep telling yourself like, oh, I don't get it, then you're not gonna get it.
Yeah.
It's like, tell yourself, I love reading, and you'll love reading. It's the same thing. Tell yourself, I'm doing the best I can, and you'll do the best you can. If you tell yourself, oh, I don't get it, or I don't want to do this, or why don't I get it, then you're gonna have that same approach, and it's going to stay with you. Just make sure to change your approach. Make sure to tell yourself, I can do it, and you'll do fine. Trust me. Plus, like I said, take your time. It's not rushed. Okay, so we were saying that the weather has changed. It's gone up, right? The temperature, and that therefore, in the past paragraph, it says it's in changed climate of different areas, and it's saying the same thing again. So it says the warming will accompany changes in regional weather. We know what regional weather is, right?
Like the basic things, so it's, I don't know.
Regional, it's like when you think of regions, what do you think? Like California region. No? Yes? Okay, so region is like area. That's what region means. So that's regional weather. So in California, for example, what are we going through? What's the temperature outside right now?
Hot.
Has it
Heat.
always been this hot? No. We have record-breaking temperature, right? proving what the article is arguing. See, make it relevant to you, make it similar to you. So we know that it's getting hot outside. So that's obviously climate change. And in addition to that, what else is going on? We have okay, I'll give you a hint. The ice bucket challenge.
Oh.
Everyone's saying don't do it because
No.
no.
Because
Well, the ice is cold, yes. But
because you're wasting water.
exactly, there's a drought going on. So this is, see, make it relevant to you.
Yeah.
So because there's a drought going on, that's because climate change. Climate change. It's having effects on the region. California region is in a drought. And that's a result of the skyrocketing temperatures. Right? There you go. Make it relevant to you. Oh, that's why. little light bulb goes off. Okay? So then, let's move on. For example, longer and more intense heat waves, which is what we're having now, a likely consequence of an increase in either the mean temperature or in the variability of daily temperatures, would result in public health threats and even unprecedented levels of mortality, as well as in such costly inconveniences as road buckling and high cooling loads, the latter possibly leading to electrical brownouts or blackouts. So, what information did we get from there? Look at the important words. For example, longer and more intense heat waves, a likely consequence of an increase in either the mean temperature or the variability of daily temperatures, would result in public threats and even unprecedented levels of mortality. So what do you think it's trying to explain to us? Exactly. It's explaining the consequences to us. So, what is the list of consequences? It's telling us that result in public health threats and levels of mortality, right? Costly inconveniences, like blackouts and brownouts and stuff like that. So it's this paragraph is telling us that there's going to be changes in regional weather and there's going to be consequences as a result. For example, regional weather, California, changes in weather, it's really hot. Consequence, we have a drought.
Yeah.
That's what it's basically telling us. All right, the next paragraph. Maria.
Okay, climate change will also affect the patterns of rainfall and other precipitation, with some areas getting more and other less. Changing global patterns and occurrences of droughts and floods similarly increase
Variability.
Okay, I can say it. Can I skip it?
Say it just one more time. Variability.
Variability?
There you go.
Okay, and extremes in precipitation can exacerbate extending problems in water quality and
Sewage treatment.
what is that?
Sewage treatment.
Sewage.
Sewers. It's under us. Where all the water goes, and
Okay.
sometimes a lot of trash. You know, the sewage, like on the sidewalk, you have the drain,
Mhm.
and that's where
So
else.
that's what it means?
Sewage treat. So basically, look, let's just read. Similarly, increased variability in extremes in precipitation can exacerbate existing problems in water quality and sewage treatment, and in erosion and urban storm water routing, among others. So basically, sewage treatment. What does treatment mean? Treatment is like trying to fix it,
Yeah.
right? If you get sick, you're gonna get treated with antibiotics. We're trying to fix sewage, and it's just. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It's it's going on with more consequences. So it says increased variability and extremes in precipitation can exacerbate existing problems in water quality and sewage treatment. So sewage treatment, we're trying to
Fix it?
fix it. and it's not working because this is a consequence of climate change. Does that make sense? Okay. And then we saw the word exacerbate in our questions, right? Right? We did? What question number is it? It's number 6. Alright, so because we know we saw that word in the questions, we could go ahead and answer it since we're right there in the passage. So, because it's giving us options, if you don't know the definition of the word, we can either, like I said earlier, contextualize, read the sentence, replace it, and see what your mind thinks of it, and then go that route. Or because we're given options, we can go ahead and just take out that word and plug in the options that are given. Okay? So let's just do that. Let's do it with A. So what does the word exacerbate mean in the following sentence? Similarly, increased variability and extremes in precipitation can worsen existing problems in water quality and sewage treatment. B, it can change existing problems in water quality and sewage treatment. C, it can cause existing problems in water quality and sewage treatment. Or D, it can complicate existing problems in water quality and treatment. What do you think? You guys have any idea?
Complicate.
Complicate?
Yeah.
But the thing is, when there's a problem, it's already complicated, right? Because it's a problem. So you don't want to say the same thing twice. Let's look at cause. Similarly, increased variability in extremes of precipitation can cause existing problems. Does that make sense?
Cause, but why cause when it's already there?
Exactly. So you can cross that one out too. You want to complicate a problem further? That's why it's not going to work. Because it's already a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so then we have B, change. So increased variability and extremes in precipitation can change existing problems in water quality. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think it makes sense.
Tell me why.
Because you can make a change on the problem that's going on. As like right now, they're talking about they're trying to change the sewage or treatment or whatever's going on, and there could be a change for that.
Yes, it can cause change, but is that what the sentence is telling us?
No.
The sentence is telling us what?
What if it wasn't the existing problem?
Yes, that is the right answer. But the reason why change doesn't work is because, for example, just plug in change and read the entire sentence. Go ahead and do that for me, Maria.
I don't know. I'm still lost between change.
Because if you put change, and extremes in precipitation can change existing problems,
Mm-hmm.
the problems are already existing, as we once said, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're already there. So are we trying to say that the problems that are existing right now are going to change to other problems? Is that what we're trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
No. We're not trying to say that, right? We're trying to say that they're going to make it worse. And that's what the passage is telling us. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then we haven't even finished reading it, huh? All right, so now we're going on to, oh wow, time's flying. Should I just read the whole thing? Yesterday I had more time the other day. So, okay, so researchers have two main and complementary methods of investigating these climate changes. So, just by reading that first sentence, it's telling us researchers have two main and complementary methods of investigating, right? Detailed meteorological records go back about a century, which coincides with the period during which the global average temperature increased by half a degree. By examining these measurements and records, climatologists are beginning to get a picture of how and where extremes of weather and climate have occurred. Okay, so this one's telling us, one, that researchers have used two main and complementary methods of investigating, right? And then it's also telling us that these methods of investigating have examined what? The global average temperatures, right? Because it says, detailed meteorological records go back about a century, which coincides with the period during which the global average temperatures increased by half a degree. By examining these measurements and records, climatologists are beginning to get a picture of how and where extremes of weather and climate have occurred. So it's telling us that these methods of investigating have allowed climatologists, which are the scientists that study the change in climate, to begin to make a picture and understand where the changes of weather have been occurring, right? That's basically what it's telling us. All right, so then we have the following paragraph, which is, it is the relation between these extremes and the overall temperature increase that really interests scientists. This is where another critical research tool, which is the global ocean atmosphere climate models, comes in. These high-performance computer programs simulate the important processes of the atmosphere and oceans, giving researchers insights into the links between human activities and major weather climate events. So, what does the ocean atmosphere climate model do? What does it do?
It's a research tool.
It is a research tool, but what does that research tool do?
It simulates the informing process of the atmosphere and ocean.
Exactly. And then it does what? It gives researchers insights into the links between human activity and major weather and climate events. Right? Do you guys know what simulate means?
Like showing you how.
Exactly. It's like an imitation. Like, it represents it. It shows it. It's a representation of the information that's being given, right? So in this case, it's a representation of the important processes that happen in the atmosphere and in the oceans, right? Okay, so do you guys remember how in the beginning there was an example in one of the paragraphs? I believe it's the second paragraph, the first body paragraph. That's the one that tells us that there's a link between climate change and human activity. Remember we were talking about that? Fossil fuels and all that. It's telling us this again right here. So basically the ocean atmosphere model is also letting us know that there is a connection between human activity and major weather change, right? Okay, so then we have the conclusion. The combustion of fossil fuels, for example, increases the concentration in the atmosphere of certain greenhouse gases, the fundamental agents of the global warming that may be attributable to humans. These gases, which include carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, halocarbons, and nitrous oxide, let in sunlight but tend to insulate the planet against the loss of heat, not unlike the glass of a greenhouse. Thus a higher concentration means a warmer climate. So, this is summarizing. Let's just read it one more time so that way we can know exactly what it's telling us. The combustion of fossil fuels, for example, increases the concentration in the atmosphere of certain greenhouse gases, the fundamental agents of the global warming that may be attributable to humans. So there's another thing. So they're blaming it on us. Humans are accountable. These gases, which include carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, halocarbons, and nitrous oxide, live in the sunlight but tend to insulate the planet against the loss of heat, not unlike the blast of a greenhouse. Thus, a higher concentration means a warmer planet. All right, we're going to start answering the questions. Do you guys understand what the passage is about? Yes? Maria? A little. Okay, so just remember, what was the example I gave? California drought, right? That's basically what it's telling us. There's a California drought, therefore you shouldn't be dumping ice on your head because it's just not okay. There's no water. Consequence. Okay, so the first one, remember we're talking about the main idea. So, A, the history of climate change should be carefully explored and documented. Do you think that's what it is? I completely agree with you. It should not be because it's not telling us, oh, go study it. No. It's telling us it's been studied and it's basically articulating something else. B, fossil fuels and greenhouse gases may be linked. Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
I see why. I see why you say why, because fossil fuels are mentioned, greenhouse gases are mentioned in the passage, and they're kind of telling us that they're both a result of human activity. So let's just keep that open. Maybe that's our distractor, or maybe it is the right answer. We don't know yet. We have to read the rest. So C, the Earth's temperatures have been rising. Is that another possibility? Tell me why.
Because it's not rising, it's just changing.
The Earth's temperatures have been rising. Well, it's kind of broad, right? It is rising in some areas, but in other areas it might not be. So we don't know that, right? So I would say that one should be crossed out because there's no direct information that's being given, right? So then we have
Human activity and global warming result in changing climate.
that's not correct.
It
So are you
sounds
gonna?
similar to the one we just read?
Yeah. So exactly, that's the main idea. That's the purpose. You're just supposed to find whatever is the closest thing you can to that passage. Oh, this sounds exactly like what I just read. Choose it. It's the right answer. So yes, that is the right answer, D. Okay, so then we have, which of the following is not supported by information in the passage? A, computer models of climate have proved superior to old meteorological records in helping climatologists pinpoint changes. B, A, do you think that sounds correct?
Yeah. It's not correct?
You actually are right. You're right, but I kind of wanted to. I didn't think you would say that it's the right answer right away. That we keep going, but let's just read the rest of the options so that way you can kind of see the difference.
Okay.
So yeah, it's right though. It's not supported by information in the passage because that's not our whole focus, right? Our whole focus was climate change. It wasn't focusing on the models. It wasn't focusing on meteorological records. It wasn't focusing at all on that. So that's why it's not supported, right? And the rest, clearly they're correct in that they are supported by the passage. Otherwise, they would be the correct answer. So let's move on to the next one. 3, according to the passage, which of the following terms best describes the effects of global warming? A, complex. B, disastrous. C, predictable. D, inconvenient. What do you think? Disastrous? Why disastrous?
Because
There's so many problems going on.
Yes,
and it
but
can be inconvenient because it's like if they tell you that, you wouldn't be like, oh, whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's not. It's nothing.
yes, but we have to understand one thing. It's telling us what? Remember how I was talking about regions? Right? We're talking about the fact that it's everywhere, right? It's not just in one area. It's not going to be the same thing in every area. That's why I mentioned, if you look back at the paragraphs, if you look back, it says here. It says droughts in some areas and it says floods in other areas. So it's definitely disastrous and it's definitely inconvenient, but is that what it's telling us throughout the entire thing? Is that the focus?
It's not, because it's not like, it's
It
not-
just briefly mentions it. It doesn't focus on it.
Yeah.
It's telling us that it does happen. There's certain consequences from it, but it's telling us that it's not. I would say we can eliminate C, for example, because I mean you guys didn't even choose C. It's not predictable. Like I said, there's droughts in some areas and there's floods in other areas, so we can kind of just take that one out as a whole. Does that? If it were saying to be disastrous, wouldn't the person be like, oh my gosh, there's so many disasters going on? That would be the focus of the entire thing, but it's not, right?
So it's not B?
Huh?
So it's not B?
No.
And it can be D though.
It can't.
So it's A.
So it's A.
Complex?
It's complex. Because what is the whole thing telling us? We're trying to find the causes of climate change.
Yeah.
And it's arguing that human activity, remember fossil fuels, we mentioned it several times. Human activity is one of the reasons or one of the things that's causing it, right? So it's a complex thing. It's not easily comprehensible, you know?
That was tricky.
It is somewhat tricky because, but like I said, it's going to offer you some suggestions or some options that are going to sound like they're the right answer, but they're not.
Yeah.
Okay, so then remember we were talking about tone. What tone does the author establish in this passage? A, alarmist. B, irate. C, concerned. D, accusatory. First of all, is there one word in there that you don't know
B.
the meaning of? Irate? That means angry. It's like, oh, you. It's like overly angry. It's like being mean, rude. That's what irate means. Does it sound like the author's being like that?
No.
No? Okay, let's just read that. Erase. Let's erase that. Okay, so then we have, what other one do you guys want to see if it's correct? Well, which one do you guys think it is?
I'm between A and C.
I'm between C and D.
Okay, so let's look at C, because you guys both chose C, right? Well, as an option. Okay, so C, concerned. Does he sound concerned?
Not really.
Not really, no. You put it like that, no.
But he is concerned.
I don't think so. But
Why not?
That much.
He's not, but not that much. But he is concerned.
Yeah.
You guys are right. It's C. I made it sound like you guys were
You
wrong.
make- I'm like, oh my
No,
God.
I was just trying to psych you guys out. But yeah, it's right. It's C. Because alarmist is like setting an alarm. Like, we need to make change now. We need to make change now.
Yeah.
That's not what he's doing. He's explaining this is what's going on. So it's like me trying to present something to you. It's like a somewhat like of a persuasive thing. I'm trying to persuade you to buy my product, you know? But I'm not telling you, oh, do it now, or I'm
Is
not.
that like some other word?
Yeah, and then it's not accusatory because accusatory is like, you're the one that's doing this. You are too. So we know that's not accusatory. He's not accusing us. He's saying human activity might be one of the causes of climate change, and that's why he's concerned. Right? So yes, you guys are correct. Don't question yourselves. You guys know the answers. You guys are just psyching yourselves out. All right. And then we have number 5. The name greenhouse gases first mentioned in line 74 is appropriate because these gases are A, hot, B, are produced in controlled circumstances. C, filter the sun's harmful rays. D, prevent heat loss. Do you guys know what greenhouse gases are? To start. No? I'm gonna be a science teacher. I'm just kidding. No, okay, so greenhouse gases basically, let's just take for example an air conditioning, but greenhouse is with heat. So just for the sake of representation. So greenhouse gases basically is this. We turn on an air conditioning in here, right? And we close everything to make sure that the cold air stays inside. That's what greenhouse gases does. So greenhouse gases, which are the ones that we talked about nitrous oxide and halocarbons and all that stuff that was listed on the passage. Those are greenhouse gases. Those keep all the heat from the sun inside of the Earth's ozone layer. And that's what's making all the heat stay inside, which is why climate change and temperatures are increasing. But what I'm trying to say is, in the example with the air conditioning, is that we try and keep all the AC inside, all the cold air inside, because we want to remain cold. But as soon as we open those doors, a lot of the air rushes out.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. The greenhouse gases are the doors. Those are the ones that are making sure they stay closed. You know what I'm saying? The greenhouse gases make the heat stay inside.
Mm-hmm.
But for just an example, we're using AC.
Yeah.
You know? So it just makes it all stay inside. That's a greenhouse gas. That's how it works. That's the reason why climate change has been happening. And in the ozone layer, it's making all the heat come inside, but it doesn't let it escape. So it's like, if I can explain.
Like trap. Like the heat, it's just there.
Yeah,
It
so
doesn't go nowhere.
So we have the Earth, and then we have, oh my gosh, the ozone layer. So then we have the heat which comes inside from the sun. Sun is here. And then the heat just basically bounces in like that. It doesn't escape. Because the ozone layer is now covered with greenhouse gases. Does that make sense? Okay. So now you guys know what greenhouse gases are now. But okay, so as mentioned, why is it appropriate? Because they're hot, because they're produced in controlled circumstances, because they filter the sun's harmful rays, or prevent heat loss. What do you think? What am I saying? What is the greenhouse gases, which is this black thing? What is it doing?
Keeping it inside.
Exactly. Which one is the one that's similar to that? Huh? B. B.
Preventing heat loss?
Exactly. That's what it's doing. The name greenhouse gases, first mentioned in line 24, is appropriate because these gases prevent heat loss. Right? And what is one of our most important topics in the entire passage? Heat, right? It's changing. And greenhouse gases are a result of the burning of fossil fuels, which is a human activity. You see? Step at a time. Okay, then we have number 6. Oh, we already did 6, huh? Okay, 7. According to the passage, scientists are most interested in the link between global warming and extreme changes in regional climate because A, such link has never been made and cannot be easily explained. Is that true? Do you think that's true? Didn't we talk about research tools and we talked about ways of... So do you think that can't be explained? Didn't we talk about ways of explaining it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? The ocean tool?
Yeah.
Alright, so then is that right or is that wrong?
Wrong.
Okay. So then we have 7, B. Establishing the link will prove their current theories about the causes of global warming. Does that sound correct? Tell me why.
Because it says that they will prove why are the causes of global warming.
I I see what you're saying. You know, like they're researching it. They want to see like what all the causes are. I see what you're saying. So it's definitely like something, you know, sounds kind of right. Okay, let's go to C. It could help explain the effects of natural forces such as gravitational pull and climate. Did we even mention gravitation at all? Okay, so that's gone, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have D. It could help pinpoint which human activities are involved in climate extremes. Does that sound at all familiar? Did we read about human activity at all?
When it says helps pinpoint.
Pinpoint. So pinpoint is like, you know, target practice.
Yeah.
You're trying to land at that in the center so that way you can find the cause of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's trying to tell us. So pinpoint basically means it's trying to find the reason, and this is the reason, right? Okay, so there we go. So D, does that sound correct?
I don't think so.
Well, remember we were talking about, what were we talking about a lot? The burning of fossil fuels,
Mm-hmm.
and that how that causes greenhouse gases, right? So we were talking about that a lot throughout the entire passage, right? Were we talking about that more than we were talking about proving the current theories of global warming?
Yeah.
We were, right? So which one sounds better? Yeah, I would say it's D too. All right, so we have one last question. If true, which of the following would call into question current theories of global warming? A dramatic increase in world precipitation. B, a dramatic decrease in world precipitation. C, an increase in the rate of global warming following the elimination of the use of fossil fuels. D, below normal temperature recordings in Canada for 2 years. Which one can we eliminate, like right off the bat? D, yes. Because again, we didn't even mention Canada. It makes no sense. Okay, so that's gone. All right, so we see a very, very, very close similarity between A and B.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference between the two sentences or the two options are the words increase and decrease, right? So do we want to go back and check to see if one of those is the best answer? Or do you guys want to just...
Well, I don't know.
Which one do you think is the answer? Because we were eliminating D, so A, B, and C. Which one would you choose?
I was thinking A or B because I was taught, like when I was in middle school, they used to tell me, and there's like 4 questions and they're like similar to each other and they have like a word that each of them have. It has to be one of those. You just gotta go back and read. I was taught that. That's why I always go back.
Oh, no. I don't know who taught you that, but they're not correct.
Okay.
You can't really apply that kind of rule to any test because
Mhm.
I might know that rule and I might purposely just rule that out, you know? So let's just do this. Because you think it's A or B, let's go back to the text and references to see if we can find that right answer. Okay, so let's look for the word precipitation since it's in both options A and B. So let's look for it.
Okay, right here.
Okay, go ahead and read it for me, Maria.
Climate change will also affect the patterns of rainfall and other precipitation, with some areas getting more and other less, changing global patterns and occurrence of droughts and floods.
Floods, yeah.
Floods. Similarly, increased variability and extremes in precipitation can exacerbate existing problems with water quality and sewage treatment and in
Erosion.
and urban storm water rotting, among others. Thank you, Warren.
Nope. Do we get our answer? I'm gonna read it, and you tell me if you hear it. Climate change would also affect the patterns of rainfall and other precipitation, with some areas getting more and others less. Decrease and increase. Does that sound similar?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we know? We know that answer A, option A, is giving us what? It says increase. Does the passage say, with some areas getting more? With all areas getting more? Is that what it's saying? No. Is it saying with all areas getting less? No. It's saying it's both. Some areas, again, we're talking about regional, we're talking about different areas getting different things. So, how is it possible that the option could be that all areas of the world is getting more precipitation when in every other part of the passage is telling us that regional areas have different effects, right?
Yeah, so it's not increasing or it's not
Exactly.
decreasing.
Exactly. So, we ruled out A and B, we ruled out D, we get.
See.
So there you go, your rule didn't apply.
Okay, now I know. I think that's why I always fail.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't do that. Don't. And again, it's also that attractive distractor. You kind of just like psych yourself out because, oh, those two are very similar. That means one of them has to be the answer. No, don't do that. Do not do that. Okay, so in addition to that, if you guys really want to get yourselves engaged in the reading, like I said, start reading yourself. And then make it so that way it's like you establish an interest for it, you know, like climate change. It's like, you know, now I'm pretty sure that because I mentioned the water challenge, the ice bucket, whatever, that ice bucket challenge, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, I see, like, you know, climate change, droughts, all this stuff. So it'll make you interested. At least for me it does. And I'm pretty sure for you it will too. Okay? Do you guys have questions?
No.
Okay, so I hope I helped. Just make sure to stay on it. Like I said, when you're taking the test, take notes. Highlight the word that you think is really important. If we're talking about a passage like this one, the coming climate, we're talking about consequences. We're talking about results. We're talking about what's causing this, you know, cause and effect. So make sure to highlight, circle, oh, this part says consequence. This is what's happening as a result. This part says this. Make sure to tell yourself, keep yourself on point. What's the important part of this paragraph? Highlight it. Mark it. Do whatever you need to do to it to make sure to reference it and make things easier for you. If you can summarize it in a couple of words what it's about, it's the best thing for you to do. Same thing is going to apply when if you guys ever decide to take like the SAT or you're going to college and taking those tests. That's the best way to do it. And again, skip over a passage that you think is hard. Always go back to it. You always have time. Okay? I also gave you, in addition to the packet, there's one which is in the back. This one. It's a little. This one, yeah. Just short passages. Try and answer them the next time you come in. I'll make sure to give you the answers to those questions, or if you guys want to come in, I'll give them to you as well. Answer them. I just want to see if you guys can answer those as well by yourself. I want to make sure that you guys are getting engaged in the reading. If you guys have any questions or you guys want any one-on-one prep, like with reading and all that stuff, come in. I'll make sure to help you guys out. I'll be more than happy to. Okay? All right, so that's it. Next week, we're actually going to start a new lesson, so we're going to move on to bigger and better things, more complicated things.
Would it be at the same time?
Yeah, we have one well, for English, we have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays at 9 and Thursdays at 11. So, okay. Well, alrighty.
Would it be okay if we just come in once a week?
Yeah, just once a week because both those classes are
Will be
the
like
same.
the same?
They're the same.
Oh, okay.
So I taught this on Tuesday. So next week I'm going to try to do something new. Yeah, no problem. Do you guys need pens?
No.
No, you guys are good? Alright, well, like I said, if you guys have questions, just let me know.
Okay, so we just do this question and just bring